Welcome, fellow gamers, to a deep dive into the history of one of the most iconic game franchises of all time, Doom. This isn't just some walk down memory lane, though. Oh no, we're going full theorist mode today. This is a full-on investigation into how Doom shaped the gaming landscape, how it faced its demons and came out on top. From its groundbreaking debut in 1993 to its latest installment, we'll explore how Doom has evolved over the years. We're talking graphics, gameplay, story, the whole 9 yards. We'll uncover the secrets, the controversies, and the legacy of this genre-defining franchise, because Doom isn't just a game, it's a phenomenon. So buckle up, grab your BFGs, and get ready to explore the evolution of Doom. Our journey begins in 1993, a time when dial-up was king, grunge ruled the airwaves, and a little game called Doom was about to unleash hell on Earth. But this wasn't just any hell, this was a hell of pixels and polygons, a technological marvel that pushed the boundaries of what video games could be. Doom wasn't just a game, it was a cultural phenomenon. It popularized the first-person shooter genre, creating a whole new way to experience video games. Suddenly, players weren't just controlling a character on a screen, the character blasting their way through hordes of hellspawn with an arsenal of weapons that would make the Terminator blush. But what truly set Doom apart was its groundbreaking technology. The game's use of 3D graphics and environments was revolutionary for its time, creating an immersive and terrifying experience that had never been seen before. Remember, this was a time when most games were still stuck in the 2D realm. Doom blew the doors wide open, ushering in a new era of gaming. And let's not forget the impact Doom had on multiplayer gaming. Before Call of Duty, before Halo, there was Doom, introducing the world to the thrill of deathmatch, where friends could become foes in a virtual bloodbath. This was groundbreaking stuff, folks, and it laid the foundation for the online multiplayer games we know and love today. But Doom's legacy goes beyond its technological innovations. The game's themes of demonic invasion, otherworldly horrors, and a lone hero fighting against impossible odds resonated with players on a primal level. It tapped into our deepest fears, our fascination with the unknown, and our desire to overcome any obstacle, no matter how terrifying. And let's be real, who hasn't imagined themselves as the Doom Slayer, shotgun in hand, ready to take on the forces of hell? Doom wasn't just a game, it was an experience, a visceral, adrenaline-fueled thrill ride that left an indelible mark on the gaming world. It was a game-changer, a trendsetter, a legend that continues to inspire and influence game developers to this day. But, as influential as Doom was, it was just the beginning. The forces of hell were just biding their time, waiting for the right moment to unleash their fury once more. And when they did, the Doomslayer would be ready. In 1994, just a year after Doom took the gaming world by storm, ID Software unleashed its sequel, Doom 2: Hell on Earth. And as the title not so subtly suggests, things were about to get a whole lot hotter. Doom 2 took everything that made the original great and cranked it up to 11. More guns, more enemies, more gore, and of course more levels, packed with enough demonic mayhem to make your head spin. It was a sequel that didn't just meet expectations, it obliterated them. One of the most notable additions to Doom 2 was the Super Shotgun. This double-barreled beast quickly became a fan favorite, allowing players to deliver devastating close-range blasts that could turn even the toughest demons into piles of pixelated goo. But Doom 2 wasn't just about bigger guns and badder enemies, it also expanded on the original story, albeit in a way that was still delightfully vague and open to interpretation. This time the forces of hell had invaded Earth itself, and it was up to the Doomslayer to send them back to the fiery abyss. The game introduced us to iconic new enemies like the Revenant, a skeletal monstrosity with rocket launchers for shoulders, and the Archvile, a creepy, flame-throwing demon that could resurrect fallen enemies. Talk about a bad hair day. These new additions added a whole new layer of challenge and intensity to the gameplay, forcing players to stay on their toes and adapt to ever-changing threats. Doom 2 also refined the level design of its predecessor, introducing larger, more complex environments filled with secret areas, environmental hazards, and of course hordes upon hordes of demonic enemies. Each level felt like an intricately designed puzzle box, challenging players to find the right path, collect the best weapons, and unleash holy hell upon anything that moved. The game's success was nothing short of phenomenal. It sold over 2 million copies in its first year alone, solidifying Doom's status as a gaming juggernaut. Critics and players alike praised its relentless action, intense gameplay, and groundbreaking graphics. Doom 2 wasn't just a sequel, it was a statement. It was a declaration that Doom was here to stay, and that the forces of hell had a whole lot more to worry about than just one angry Marine. In 1997, amidst the Nintendo 64's reign, a new chapter in the Doom saga unfolded, Doom 64. But this wasn't just a simple port or a rehash of what came before. Doom 64 was a different beast entirely, a game that dared to deviate from the established formula and embrace a darker, more atmospheric tone. Developed by Midway Games, Doom 64 was a unique entry in the franchise, a game that felt both familiar and alien at the same time. It was Doom, but not as we knew it. Gone were the bright, almost cartoonish visuals of its predecessors, replaced with a grittier, more realistic aesthetic that leaned heavily into the horror aspects of the franchise. Doom 64 embraced the limitations of the Nintendo 64 hardware, using clever lighting effects, atmospheric sound design, and a more deliberate pace to create a sense of dread and unease that was truly unsettling. This wasn't just about blasting demons anymore. It was about survival, about navigating a nightmarish world where danger lurked around every corner. The game's level design mirrored this shift in tone, with sprawling, labyrinthine environments that were as oppressive as they were challenging. Secret areas were more cleverly hidden, often requiring players to think outside the box and utilize the environment to their advantage. And speaking of the environment, Doom 64 introduced a new weapon that played a crucial role in both combat and exploration, the Unmaker. This demonic artifact fired blasts of pure energy that could decimate enemies, but it also had the unique ability to activate certain switches and open hidden pathways. Doom 64 wasn't just about jump scares and gore, though. It also expanded on the Doom lore in intriguing ways, offering cryptic clues about the Doom Slayer's past and the origins of the demonic invasion. It was a game that rewarded those who paid attention to detail, offering glimpses into a much larger and more complex story than what was presented in previous games. While Doom 64 may not have achieved the mainstream success of its predecessors, it garnered a dedicated following who appreciated its unique atmosphere, challenging gameplay, and expansion of the Doom lore. It was a game that proved Doom could be more than just a mindless shooter. It could be a chilling, atmospheric experience that stayed with you long after you put the controller down. Doom 64 was a testament to the franchise's versatility, its ability to adapt and evolve while staying true to its core tenets. It was a love letter to atmosphere, a game that proved that even in the face of hell itself, true fear lay in the unknown. Chapter 4, Doom 3, Descent into Darkness. In 2004, ID Software did the unthinkable. They took the breakneck speed and adrenaline-fueled action that defined the Doom franchise and hit the brakes hard. Doom 3, released to a gaming landscape hungry for more demon-slaying action, was a different beast entirely. This wasn't your older brother's Doom. This was a descent into darkness, a terrifying exploration of fear and isolation. Gone were the sprawling levels and hordes of enemies, replaced with claustrophobic corridors, flickering lights, and a pervasive sense of dread that clung to you like a second skin. Doom 3 wasn't about conquering hell, it was about surviving it, one heart-pounding encounter at a time. The game's graphics were a significant leap forward, pushing the boundaries of what was possible on the PC. Advanced lighting effects cast realistic shadows that danced and flickered, creating an unsettling and immersive atmosphere that was unlike anything seen in a shooter before. But the real star of the show was the sound design. Every creak, every groan, every guttural growl sent shivers down your spine, building tension and anticipation with masterful precision. Headphones were not optional for this one, folks. Doom 3 understood that true horror wasn't about what you saw, but what you heard, or rather, what you thought you heard lurking just beyond your field of vision. The story, too, took a darker turn, focusing on themes of corporate greed, scientific hubris, and the very human cost of toying with forces beyond our comprehension. The UAC, a shadowy corporation with more secrets than a used car salesman, became the unwitting architect of their own demise, their thirst for power paving the way for a demonic invasion they were woefully unprepared for. Doom 3 wasn't just a change of pace, it was a gamble a bold departure from the established formula that divided fans and critics alike. Some praised its terrifying atmosphere and focus on horror, while others lamented the loss of the fast-paced action that defined the franchise. But love it or hate it, there's no denying the impact Doom 3 had on the gaming landscape. It proved that the franchise could evolve, could embrace new ideas and genres without losing its core identity. It was a reminder that sometimes true terror lies not in the face of a demon, but in the shadows that lurk within our own minds. Doom 3 was a game that dared to be different, a game that wasn't afraid to embrace the darkness. It was a chilling, unforgettable experience that proved that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create ourselves. Chapter 5, Doom 2016, Rip and Tear Redefined. After a decade of silence, a decade spent licking its wounds and plotting its return, the Doomslayer made his triumphant comeback in 2016 with, well, Doom. This wasn't a reboot, a reimagining, or a reinterpretation. This was Doom distilled to its purest, most primal form. This was Rip and Tear, redefined for a new generation. Doom 2016 was a love letter to the classics, a glorious return to the fast-paced, frenetic action that made the franchise a legend. But it wasn't just a nostalgia trip. This was a modern take on a classic formula, a game that took the best of what came before and injected it with a potent dose of 21st century adrenaline. Gone were the claustrophobic corridors and jump scares of Doom 3, replaced with sprawling, demon-infested arenas that begged to be painted red with the blood of your enemies. This was a game that understood that sometimes the best way to deal with your problems was to shoot them in the face repeatedly until they stopped being a problem. And speaking of shooting things in the face, Doom 2016 introduced a new mechanic that would become synonymous with the franchise's resurgence: glory kills. This brutal, visceral system allowed players to finish off stunned enemies in a variety of gruesome ways, rewarding aggression and precision with a shower of health and ammo pickups. But Doom 2016 wasn't just about mindless violence. Okay, maybe it was a little bit about mindless violence, but it also featured surprisingly deep combat mechanics that rewarded players who mastered the game's arsenal and enemy weaknesses. This was a game that demanded your attention, that punished complacency and rewarded those who embraced the chaos. The story, while still taking a back seat to the action, was more present than in previous entries. We learned more about the Doomslayer's past, his motivations, and his unwavering hatred for all things demonic. We saw a glimpse of the man beneath the mask, the warrior fueled by a rage that burned hotter than the fires of hell itself. Doom 2016 was a triumph, a resurrection of a franchise that had been left for dead. It was a brutal, exhilarating, and surprisingly thoughtful game that reminded the world why they fell in love with Doom in the first place. It was a game that proved that sometimes all you need is a shotgun, a chainsaw, and a whole lot of demons to make a statement. Doom 2016 wasn't just a comeback, it was a revolution. It was a declaration that the king had returned, and he was here to stay. Chapter 6, Doom Eternal, a Symphony of Destruction. If Doom 2016 was the triumphant return of the king, then Doom Eternal, released in 2020, was the king's coronation. This was Doom at its most confident, its most ambitious, and its most metal. This was a symphony of destruction, a ballet of bullets and blood, a game that pushed the boundaries of what a first-person shooter could be. Doom Eternal took everything that made its predecessor great and cranked it up to 11. The combat was faster, more frenetic, and more demanding than ever before. The levels were larger, more vertical, and packed with more secrets than a government conspiracy board. And the story, well, let's just say things were about to get biblical. Doom Eternal doubled down on the push-forward combat that defined the 2016 reboot. Players were encouraged to stay on the offensive, to keep moving, to never let up on the pressure. Ammo was scarce, health was even scarcer, and the only way to survive was to embrace the chaos and become a whirlwind of death and destruction. New mechanics, like the grappling hook and the shoulder-mounted flamethrower, added even more depth and versatility to the combat. Players could now swing across chasms, grapple onto enemies, and set the world ablaze with a flick of the wrist. It was a symphony of violence, a dance of death, that was as beautiful as it was brutal. But Doom Eternal wasn't just about mindless action. The game featured a surprisingly deep lore that explored the origins of the Doomslayer, the history of the demonic invasion, and the very nature of reality itself. It was a story that spanned eons, that delved into the darkest corners of existence, and that ultimately left players with more questions than answers. And then there was the music. Oh, the music. Mick Gordon's soundtrack was a masterpiece of heavy metal, a sonic assault that perfectly complemented the game's over-the-top action. From the pulsating rhythms to the guttural screams, every note was designed to get your blood pumping and your head banging. Doom Eternal wasn't just a game, it was an experience. It was a relentless, adrenaline-fueled thrill ride that left you breathless, exhausted, and wanting more. It was a game that pushed the boundaries of what was possible in the first-person shooter genre. And it did it with style, grace, and a whole lot of heavy metal. Doom Eternal was more than just a worthy successor to the 2016 reboot. It was a masterpiece in its own right. It was a game that celebrated the history of the franchise while simultaneously pushing it forward into bold new territory. It was a game that proved that Doom was more than just a game. It was a force of nature.
Excellent. See that Councillor Swan is...
Outro, the legacy of Doom. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the history of Doom. From its humble beginnings as a genre-defining shooter to its current status as a gaming icon, Doom has consistently pushed the boundaries of what's possible in video games. It's a franchise that's not afraid to experiment, to evolve, and to embrace its own unique brand of over-the-top action and heavy metal mayhem. Doom has left an undeniable mark on gaming, inspiring countless other titles and solidifying its place in the pantheon of gaming legends. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into your favorite games. Let us know in the comments which Doom game is your favorite and why. Is it the groundbreaking original, the brutal reboot, or the symphony of destruction that is Doom Eternal?
But Kruger is going to start doing things our way.
Whatever you say, Counselor.
Welcome to Mars. All new arrivals need